Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Book Talk. I read a very different and beautiful book of late. It is about climate and nature. And we are going to talk to the author of that book today. And that author is Frank Holzman. Frank is a horticulturist and a sustainable farming consultant. Am I right, Frank?
Right? Yeah. Actually, I'm in Georgia, but I'm in the same time zone as New York.
I see. Okay. So you're joining us from Georgia.
Right.
Right. Okay. Hello and welcome to the show, Frank. Please tell us a bit more about being a horticulturist.
Well, it depends. I mean, for me, it's been a long journey and a lot of different ventures. I got into horticulture in 1973
Mm-hmm.
and discovered that I had a real passion for this kind of work. And then I went to school. I was lucky. I mean, a series of events happened, and I discovered
Mm-hmm.
that I could go to school, and
Mm-hmm.
that I found various different resources that were available. At that time, I was in California,
Okay.
and so a lot of wonderful things happened to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I, during the course of my education, I discovered that really what I wanted to focus on was food, because
Oh,
that
okay.
was where it was at. Because we all eat, and
Mm.
you can grow wonderful plants and shrubs and landscapes, but why not
Right.
focus on food? I mean, food's very
Mm-hmm.
important. So that became the second part of my education, and uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so I developed during the course of all that, I discovered a guy named Alan Chadwick, his garden
Mm-hmm.
at University of California, Santa Cruz. And
Mm.
once I discovered that, it was this amazing
Mm.
epiphany of finding things that I loved that I didn't even know I was looking for. And
Mm.
so I embraced that, his whole philosophy and everything he did. And
Mm.
uh, And along this course too, that I met people who are older than me that always said, you should try to be organic. Organic is what
Okay.
you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you when you go to school, they're going to teach you about the chemicals, they're going to teach you about what things to spray.
Mm.
Ignore that. So,
Okay.
so I took their advice, and it actually worked out because
Okay.
so I've always been organic. I've
Okay.
never done anything else but organic growing and organic farming. So I became a small scale organic farmer, and really
Mm-hmm.
more of a market gardener because, like you said, I'm a horticulturalist.
Mm.
So I do a lot of it by hand, all of it by
Mm-hmm.
hand. And
Okay.
but I use this practice. It's very intensive, so I use land real
Mm-hmm.
efficiently.
Okay.
And I discovered how to work with nature, how to
Okay.
coexist with nature, and how to use the
Mm-hmm.
laws of nature. So that's my
Mm.
parameters. It's not like, well,
Okay.
what
Mm-hmm.
determines how you do it? Nature determines it, and nature's
Mm.
always been my teacher. And so I've
Mm.
learned how to create, and that's what my book is about creating balanced ecosystems. And
Okay.
when things are in balance, they work.
Mm-hmm.
It works very
Right.
beautifully. Yeah.
When I read about your travels in the Indonesian forests in your book, it is really interesting. So, can you share your experience?
Well, so when I was younger, I did some traveling outside the country, but it wasn't really until I got older and I formed this nonprofit that I have, my
Hmm.
organization, Recovery Eco Agriculture Project.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about it, which you might be able to
Hmm.
identify with this, is that when you're in a place like United States,
Hmm.
it's trendy. People are trendy. They want to do this organic thing, but they're not that sincerely interested because there's a lot of work
Hmm.
involved. They
Hmm.
want to do it because it's cool, but they don't want to do
Correct.
it because they have to. So I've
Hmm.
started working in developing countries and
Hmm.
places like Indonesia,
Hmm.
Thailand, which isn't really a developing country, but the countries around Thailand, and then working a lot in Central America,
Hmm.
Belize, Nicaragua, Costa Rica,
Okay.
Brazil, and
Hmm.
Cuba. And
Okay.
the difference there is that those people are really interested. They're sincere,
Mhm.
like people in India are sincerely interested because they need to
Okay.
eat. It isn't just
Mhm.
something trendy that they want to do. It's like it's real. And
Right.
that's the difference. So that's
Okay.
why I've worked in a lot of these countries.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, that's great.
You know, yeah, when you say, "Oh, I want to teach you how to grow food," they go,
Mhm.
we just don't want to learn how to grow food. We have to learn how to grow food. We have to eat. We're not going to go to the
Mhm.
store and go shopping and swipe my card and buy all this
Mhm.
stuff. No, it's much more real.
Mhm. Right. You have mentioned in the book that cutting of the Amazon rainforest will destroy food
Yeah.
and medicine, and the indigenous tribes are depending on that. So please tell us more
Yeah.
about it.
Okay, so when I was in Indonesia,
Mhm.
I the majority of the time when I was there, I was living in a village. And
Mhm.
so we were just basically working with the village, doing work around the village. A lot of it was a construction volunteer project. And I
Mhm.
also built huts for pigs because I was in an area where people actually eat pork. And because
Okay.
most of Indonesia is Muslim, they don't eat pork.
Mhm.
But I was in an
Mhm.
area that did. And then I worked with we planted trees, we planted mango trees, worked with grape
Mhm.
farmers. But I took a
Mhm.
trip up into what's called Borneo,
Okay.
which,
Mhm.
yeah, and Borneo's
Okay.
one of the largest islands in the world.
Mhm.
And about the southern two-thirds of it is Indonesia. The upper
Oh.
third is Malaysia.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I went up the river, the Mahakam
Mhm.
Songhai, and when I went
Mhm.
up the river, I saw the largest clear cut I ever hope to
Oh.
see. It took 3 days to get through the clear cut. So I
Mhm.
can't tell you how big it is. It's massive. And it was the
Oh.
result of the plywood industry. Now, a
Mhm.
lot of it had just been cut down recently, so there were still
Mhm.
primates running around.
Mhm.
I saw the
Right.
I saw orangutans and I saw different kinds of monkeys and but they
Mhm.
didn't have a home because their
Mhm.
home had been taken away. So
Oh.
it doesn't take long after that, they're gone.
Mhm.
They don't exist anymore because their homes have been
Mhm.
destroyed. And
Okay.
now a lot of that land has been turned into palm oil, which is a
Okay.
huge industry, you know. So
Right.
it was shocking to experience
Mhm.
that. I'd
Mhm.
never seen anything like that. I hope I never see anything like that again. I've
Mhm.
seen a lot of big clear cuts, but it's devastating on the land because the land can't
Mhm.
handle, in the jungles, the
Mhm.
soil is very fragile. It's not set up for farming. It's set up for being a
Okay.
jungle. It's set up for being
Oh, okay.
woods. So when you
Mhm.
destroy it, you
Mhm.
completely destroy it. And it
Mhm.
doesn't just, it just doesn't recover. It may
Mhm.
recover one day. It's going to take a long time.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it's very depressing to see that people do this and they do it for short-term gain. They make some
Mhm.
money and then they
Mhm.
destroy the land and then they have to go somewhere else. And maybe
Okay.
they get out of the whole business altogether and put their money in, I don't know, insurance, I don't know, stock
Mhm.
market, I don't know.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it's very short-sighted to
Mhm.
destroy the planet like.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was a big
Okay.
shock.
Yeah. That's very sad to know, isn't it? Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Frank, can you tell me how can a common man contribute towards saving the planet from this destruction?
Well, we do it every day. Everything we
Okay.
do,
Mhm.
it's like a
Mhm.
rock. You throw a rock into the water and it has a ripple effect. And we don't
Mhm. Mhm.
realize that everything that we do has a vibration to it. It has an impact on
Mhm.
everything around us. So
Mhm.
everything, our lifestyle, when we
Mhm.
spend money, the way we spend our money, we vote.
Mhm. Mhm.
We vote for a nice planet or we vote for a destructive planet. Where I
Okay.
live in the United States, uh,
Mhm.
people not everybody, but a lot of people like fast food. And so they
Okay.
buy the McDonald's and the Burger King and all that stuff. They don't realize that
Mhm.
they're destroying the rainforest when they're supporting that kind of industry. So that's the thing. I
Mhm.
mean, how do you spend your money? Do you want to buy the
Mhm.
beautiful things that are you want to buy some animal products that might be the last species on the planet? You know, you want the last leopard wrapped around you, you know, or do you want to support things? And the way to support things is support local farmers,
Right.
you know, do everything local. Try to be as local as possible.
Okay.
And everything we do, the things we eat, the lifestyle that we live, the way we travel, we have to be
Everything
accountable for that.
contributes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have to be accountable for all of our actions. So that's what we can do. How we spend our money. People say, "Oh, I live in a country where people say, oh, we don't have a vote." Yes, you vote every day. Every time you spend money, you vote. So it's very important that we start to have a consciousness and think about these things. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. So you just mentioned that one should go and buy from the local shops, and you have dedicated one chapter to that.
Yeah,
Please
local
tell us more.
shopping and get to know farmers. Try to find farmers in your area and support them.
Right.
And
Okay.
then
Okay.
maybe, you know, ask some questions. Are they organic? Like one of the questions I've got, do you make compost? Because if you're not making compost, you're not putting something back in the soil. And you always want to
Okay.
leave the place better than how you found it. So that's important too. You know, does the farmer know what they're doing? A lot of
Okay.
farmers don't know what they're doing. You know, you and I can become farmers. You could become a
Okay.
farmer.
Oh, is it?
But you don't have
Okay.
to know. You can't be a doctor, right? Unless you have an
No.
education. But you can be a farmer and you don't have to know anything. You can go out there and
Oh, is
destroy
it?
the land and say, I'm a farmer. You know, but it's important for people to have some, and that's what why I write the book. And that's why I do the education programs. I want to teach people how to become better stewards of the land. And I don't know everything, but I've been doing this for 50 years, so I know something.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
So please tell us more about these education programs. They are very interesting.
Yeah, well, the education is, for me, it's a way to share my passion. I mean, I love what I do. Because I don't do this to make money. You don't make a lot. I mean, if you're really a farmer, and if you think about all the generations of farmers hundreds of years ago, they didn't have a lot of money, but they ate good, right? And they had a good lifestyle. But when he said, how much money do you have? Then I got no money, you know, and I got a little bit of money, you know, but I don't, but they have wonderful lifestyle. They eat very well. They live on a wonderful piece of land. They have water. They have things that in the people in the city would love to have, but they don't have any. So you've got to love this kind of work. And so I do it with a lot of passion. So for the education, it's just like when I was young and I met some wonderful teachers and they shared their education for me. This is full circle. Now it's time for me to share my education with others and pass it on to the next generation. And I love to share my passion. So that's what teaching is, sharing my passion. Sharing the love I have for the book. Yeah,
that's true. And
because I
that's
don't make
a
money.
great.
I say I'm a nonprofit. I'm a nonprofit. I'm a no profit.
Yes.
So I have to figure out ways to support myself. It's very difficult. It's very challenging, but it's okay. I figure it out. I have adventures.
Yes,
you know.
that's a great thing you're doing. Sorry.
Yeah, I've had a lot of adventures in my life. My life has not been boring.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I read a new word in your book, that is biomimicry, and I was amused to read that word. So please tell me about it.
Well, biomimicry is basically a design where you mimic nature. And if you think about things like, well, look at the car industry has done it. Look at the remember the Volkswagen Beetle? Volkswagen Beetle, it's designed after an egg. Because an egg doesn't, because an egg doesn't crack. You can put a lot of pressure on an egg and it takes a lot to crack an egg. If the egg was round, it'd be easier to crack it. But the way it's shaped is nature designed an egg so it won't be easy to crack. And the Volkswagen took that same idea and designed a car that looks like an egg, and it takes more impact. And we do that all the time. There's fish in the ocean that are designed so that they can live under pressure. and they've designed houses and cars to look like those fish, not because it looks good, but because it's practical. So that's biomimicry.
Oh, is it?
Those are,
Okay.
you know, so
So
like
this,
if you design a house if
huh.
you live in a place that's going to have storms, you can look at
Mhm.
how animals build their habitat.
Mhm.
And then you say, well, how do they live in a storm? How can they live in this
Mhm.
place where there's major
Mhm.
storms? They build their nests so they can withstand storms. So if we
Good.
imitate that,
Mhm.
that's biomimicry.
Okay, okay. We are learning from the nature. Right.
Yeah, learning
Mhm.
from nature and imitate the little things that animals do and that, the way trees operate and the way the forest operates. That's
Mhm.
biomimicry.
Okay, okay. Great. Thank you. You have a chapter about this food forest.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us about it?
Well, the food forest is
Mm.
first of all, when you work on a piece of land and if you're going to work with the forest, the
Mhm.
first thing you need to do is go in and look at the forest. Spend some time
Okay.
in the forest.
Mhm.
I have a chapter on how to develop an intimate relationship with
Mhm.
land. And it
Mhm.
sounds romantic. It's not
Mhm.
romantic. It really means monitoring. Look at the different
Mhm.
species that live there. Look at the
Mhm.
habitats that the animals and the insects. Look at how
Mhm.
insects are living in. So understand the
Mhm.
whole thing like a
Mhm.
scientist.
Huh.
First that's number one. And then
Okay.
figure out what works. Then you can get a better idea of what works and what doesn't work. So some
Mhm.
ideas you can incorporate into the woods is there are
Mhm.
fruits that'll grow in the woods that
Mhm.
grow underneath the trees. Like
Mhm.
we have grapes that grow in our woods.
Okay.
They're just
Mhm.
native. They're native grapes, and the birds eat them, and that's food. So
Mhm.
you can plant these grapes around, and there's also a lot of herbs, wonderful
Mhm.
herbs, medicinal herbs that will grow in the
Mhm.
forest. So
Mhm.
that would be something you could incorporate. Again, you got to find out what works in your forest, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and
Mhm.
mushrooms are a great thing because
Mhm.
if you cultivate mushrooms, you're
Mhm.
actually feeding the mycorrhizal fungi that supports
Mhm.
all the root system of the whole forest. Because the
Mhm.
mushrooms is how the forest communicates with its, that's how the
Mhm.
trees communicate with each other. That's like
Mhm.
the fourth central nervous system
Mhm.
is the mushroom, are the
Okay.
mushrooms
Mhm.
and the fungi. So if you
Mhm.
grow those, you help enhance the health of the forest, and then maybe you get mushrooms out of it.
Mhm.
And then when you take the trees out, you don't just
Mhm.
take trees, you look at which
Mhm.
trees are good to take out.
Mhm.
You select the trees that are too close together and you say, if I take that tree out, that'll help these other trees grow bigger. So you take your
Mhm.
time and you do it so that the place is going to be better, not worse.
Mhm.
And that's how you harvest, but you keep making the place better. So that's
Mhm.
part of a food forest,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. Very interesting. Right. You have said that there is a room for research in tea made from mushroom cultures. So, what is that concept?
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So the way I enhance the soil,
Mhm.
because fertility is very important, right? Because if you're a chemical farmer, you got to put chemicals down.
Mhm.
So what I use compost. That's key. That's
Okay.
number one for me. And then I use
Mhm.
cover crops,
Mhm.
which are plant. I grow a crop and then I harvest it. Then I grow another
Mhm.
crop and I harvest it. Then I grow a crop and I give it back to the land because it's like you fed me
Oh.
and now I'm going to feed you. And
Mhm.
another way that
Mhm.
I feed the soil is
Mhm.
by growing, like I said before, growing fungi, growing mushrooms
Mhm.
that will help
Mhm.
build the soil. And some of the mushrooms, compost you can make tea out of.
Mhm.
It's full of life.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
if you take a little piece of compost,
Mhm.
there's more life in that compost than you have people in Mumbai or New York City.
Okay. Mhm.
There's more microorganisms, there's billions of microorganisms. And these microorganisms that are
Mhm.
in the compost or that are in the
Mhm.
soil,
Mhm.
they're beneficial. You can use
Mhm.
them to get rid of diseases. They'll keep the disease. Like when you're if you're a healthy person, they're healthy because we have a good biology inside of us, right? We want to take care of our intestines. We eat yogurt because it puts good bacteria in our intestines. This is the same concept. We want to encourage the beneficial bacteria and the beneficial fungi. So when you make a tea, it's concentrate. That's what it is. And then you can use plants. Certain plants have certain minerals in them, like oak bark is real high in calcium. Horsetail is real high in silica. So you can make these plants, and you can spray them on the plants, and it'll help the plants have better resilience, so they're not susceptible to diseases. So that's what the teas are all about. Using the teas to build the soil and to build the resilience, to build the plant health, because the healthy plant doesn't have diseases. Or there's diseases, but you know, like when you're healthy, you don't get sick, right? If you're a healthy person, you don't get, people get sick because they're unhealthy. Same thing with plants. Same thing. You build healthy plants, then they can withstand. The diseases are out there, but they don't get them because they have resilience. And the teas are good for that. They help introduce, there's different properties, antimicrobial properties into the soil and onto the plants. Yeah. So that's what I use the teas for.
Okay. This is very interesting. I saw the pictures also in your books that you have repurposed scrap in your fields. That I found it very interesting. So give us some examples of that.
Yeah, repurposing is just it's like recycling, only going full circle. So and with repurposing, there's another term that I use a lot that I teach. It's appropriate technology. So a lot of times people say, "Oh, we need something. We need to go. So we need to go to the store." And I say, "We can build it. We can make it. We can look at things that are laying around here. Some things that are materials that we use that we bought a long time ago, pieces of a cart or something like that. And how can we make that to do something else with it? Or you can look at the woods and you can say, well, we can. I mean, people do this in India all the time. They take vines and they make rope out of it, right? And they tie logs together. That's repurposing. And you're just taking materials and using them. You don't have to go and like, where do I buy this? I need to go buy things. You don't have to go buy things. You use what's there. That's repurposing. Just being smart. You can harvest. Yeah, like I built a rooftop, and I can grow plants underneath the rooftop because it gets sun. And down at the bottom of the rooftop, I decided to put a thing to catch water, like a rain gutter. And the rain gutter goes into a tank. And when it fills up with water, I use it to water. Then there's trees going down the hill because it's up on top there. And then that water can be used to water the fruit trees.
Right.
So I'm growing plants, I'm protecting them from the storm, but then I'm catching that water and saving it, and then I'm using that to water plants.
Wow. Wonderful.
Just going into the ground, but it's going into the different fruit trees, and it's gravity. So the fruit trees are down below, they're down the hill. So I use gravity to water the plants. That's repurposing.
Okay. There are a lot of misconceptions about organic food farming or organic food production. And your book rightly mentions all these things. So please tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I don't know about it. I don't know how you can tell me if this is the same in India, but in America, in the United States, organic food got real popular. There's a lot of organic food now. You see it all the time. So it's become business, big business. There's a lot of farms decided there's money in organic, so we're going to get certified and we're going to be organic, and that's a good thing. It means less the chemicals. You're not going to eat as many bad chemicals if you're eating organic food. But there's some chemicals you can use in organic. There's sometimes they allow chemicals. Some of those chemicals aren't so good. So when people say organic, what I do is the work that I do, I call it beyond organic. It's better than organic because it's the original. When people were doing things organically, they weren't just spraying, they were making the place better. You take a
Okay.
piece of land, you become, you want to, the land, when you leave the land, it's better than how you found it. So it's important that people are not just organic, but they're also being good stewards of the land, good caretakers. And so that's, to me, that's like, I like the fact that people are interested in organic, but I want to go to the next level. Like, and that's for supporting the small farmers, because now there's big farms that are doing organic. And I'm wondering, are they really taking care of the soil? Are they, still losing the topsoil? But no, but we're organic, but your soil's going away. So I don't know how organic you call that. So, the people that are real serious, that are really committed, that integrity is the word. Having a lot of integrity in the work. Yeah.
Right.
And when you have really high quality food, you can taste it. You eat food and you go, oh, this is nice. It's supposed to be organic, but it tastes just like this mango just tastes like the other mangoes, or this tomato just tastes like. But when you taste a really good one, you go, wow, this tastes amazing. This is incredible. And that means that it's got more nutrients. When you taste it, when it tastes better, it's got more vitamins.
Correct.
And more nutrients. So that's important. If you're going to eat, you want to eat, you want nutrition.
Yes, of course. That's why we eat, for nutrition.
Yeah.
Frank, you have developed community gardens. So what are those?
Yeah. Community gardens is, in the big city, all over the world, there are people living real close together and they don't have land. So they don't have a place to grow a garden. And a lot of them would like to grow a little garden. And you don't need a big space to grow a little bit of food. You can grow your fresh vegetables on just a small area. If you just want lettuces and carrots and things like that, you don't need many hectares to grow food. You just need a little area. So a community garden is where you find some land and somebody organizes it.
Okay.
You have to have an organizer. Somebody has to be in charge. And then people come and they either get a little plot of land and they can grow their garden together in different plots, or everybody just works together and shares the food. But either way, it's a community project, and it's wonderful because it's a place where people can come and be around nature.
Right.
And it's important for the children to be part of that, because their children don't know about nature in the big city. So it's important for it feeds us, it feeds our bodies, but it feeds our minds and our spirit. It feeds us spiritually to be in a garden. So, and then being in a community, you help each other.
Right.
Maybe
I think it is. Yes, it's a place where you can nurture this habit of growing plants.
Yeah, you can, but it brings people together, because people start to become a community. They start, oh, now you didn't know your neighbor, but now you have a garden in the community. Now you know your neighbor. Now you spend time together and you do things together. And you're, oh no, I don't want to know my neighbor. I'm scared of my neighbor. Don't be scared. Learn. Maybe you're growing food together. Now you're giving each other a hug. It's a community.
Correct.
We get connected through a community garden. It's very nice. There's so many wonderful things can come out of it. Yeah.
That's great. And you're doing it already. So this is really awesome. That was a great discussion, Frank. And thank you for sharing all your ideas with me. I am sure people will find it an interesting read.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I tried to share, I tried for the book to be inspirational, educational, and insightful. That's what,
it is. Yes.
Good.
Yes, it serves the purpose.
Good. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Frank, for joining.
Yeah,
See you
good.
again.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. Have a nice day.